From the previous video, you should know all about each of the individual shape tools. Let's look at how to control the color and edge settings through the Shapes dialog box. Select a shape and you can choose if it will have a fill and toggle the stroke, which are the edges, on and off. Click the Color tab to open the Colors box and pick new colors. Be aware if the Colored tab is active or not, to actually change colors for existing shapes or for new shapes you create. Every shape can have a stroke of different colors, thicknesses, and with varied edge treatment. You can also assign endpoint arrows and dots and control their sizes with these sliders. Now let's look at tools to create complex shapes. Unlike SketchUp, lines you create in LayOut aren't broken by other lines. To break shapes apart and join them into other shapes, you need to use the Split and Join tools. Let's start with a simple example. We have a single circle and we'll draw one line across it. Now, use the Split tool and click on the intersecting points to break the shapes into separate entities. Watch for a black inference square to tell you when you're at an intersection. Erase the extra shapes we don't need. And now use the Join tool to combine the arc and line into one shape. This works on simple or complex shapes. We can split multiple shapes up and combine them easily. Keep in mind, when you're joining shapes, they need to meet end to end. You can't join shapes that don't meet or aren't properly split. If you'd like to keep shapes together without joining them, you can group them together. Select the shapes you want and right or context click on them and choose Group. Now they move and act like one. Keep in mind, if your shapes had different colors and attributes, you could assign any new settings to the group. Those settings will be applied to all shapes in the group, regardless of how they looked before. You can use shapes to create masks for images and SketchUp models you insert. Create the shapes and move it over the image or model. Select both entities and right or context click on them. Choose Create Clip Mask from the menu. If you need to remove the mask, right or context click and choose Remove Clip Mask. Finally, let's talk about linking shapes. This means you can create lines between shapes that will stick to those shapes even when you move them around. The key to making this work is turning on a start and end arrow or dot. I'll draw a line between these two shapes first, without adding a start or end arrow. You can see they're not linked. By adding a start point and end point first, and then drawing the line between the shapes, they're now linked. Remember that if you don't want to see the start and end points, you can always make the size so small that they're not visible. You can join multiple shapes together, though avoid linking multiple lines from one point. In LayOut, single lines automatically join together when drawn from the same point, so this will break the linking behavior. You can link multiple lines to the same shape as long as you don't draw them to the same point.